You ready to do this, Steve?
Let's do it, Spence. Punch it, Chewie.
Welcome to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot, as always, is Steve Madura.
Punch it!
We're two best friends that, despite being fathers and husbands, we refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode number 16.
Wow, that is fantastic. We're into...
We can drive.
We can drive. Finally. You know, Spence, I wanted to, welcome everybody. Episode 16. Just wanted to welcome everybody to the Wild Wild West, a state that's untouchable like Elliot Ness. The track hits your eardrum like a slug to your chest, like a vest for your Jimmy in the city of... I'm in the sunshine state with a bum at Hempy, a state where you never find a dance floor empty, and pimp speed on a mission for them greens. Lean, mean, money-making machines serving fiends. I've been in the game for 10 years making rap tunes. Ever since Hunters was wearing Sassoons. Now it's 95 and they clock me and watch me looking like a ball Liberace. It's all good from Diego to the Bay. Your city is the bomb if your city making pay. Pull my finger, you feel the same way. Dre putting it down for California, yay.
Woo!
Yes, just
nice.
want to welcome everybody. I couldn't leave last week go unanswered, by golly.
Very well done, my friend. I should have hit you with that womp 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 womp. I should know the. Gosh, that's not. Oh man, I'm gonna blank it. Yeah. Bum 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 bum. I should hit you with that if I knew that was coming.
I like to, lay down the fat track every so often with the best of them, from my days in the hood.
Yes. You mean the hood of Sycamore, Illinois, where we celebrate Pumpkin Fest? That hood?
The one and only. No, Spence and I think we spent an entire summer, our first year at college, listening to the Chronic, what was it, 2000?
Yeah, it was the Chronic 2000, 2001?
I don't know.
Yeah, Chronic 2000. It was that, and there was an MTV...
best of...
history of rap or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was you had Tupac on there, you had Dr. Dre, you had Ice Cube, you had NWA, you had Sugar Hill Gang, Snoop, yeah. We were bumping that all
But you also had some of the old school, what was the one? It's I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish it was who did that?
Oh gosh. Keep singing it, man. Let me hear it for a second. I'll get it.
Gosh.
Come on now.
I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good. I would call her. I wish I had a rabbit in a hat with a bat and a 6'4" Impala.
Yep.
Yeah, you just wanted me to sing more of it, you jerk.
I know that song. I just can't put the artist. Someone's gonna let us know that. And remember, Busta Rhymes was on there too.
Yeah.
I got you all in check. Yeah.
What was the other one where it was it was the story was he was an idiot and he couldn't play basketball and all the girls would make fun of him and he had something about his car was a piece of crap and
No, are you thinking of Ice Cube? It Was a Good Day?
No, this was more like a funny rap. It was not like DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, but it was I gotta look it up. And he had a funny name. I gotta look it up. He's kind of like a chubby rapper, not like Biggie, but
you're oh gosh, are you thinking of Tone Loc?
Yes!
Oh baby,
yes!
you got what I
need, and you say he's just a friend, and you say But there was another song.
You
wasn't he in Ace Ventura 2?
Yes.
Or I thought he was
or Ace Ventura.
Maybe he was in the first one. I thought
Ace
he was
Ventura.
his sidekick or something.
his buddy, yeah, on the police force. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
anyway, Spence.
That's a good pull.
Yeah, I wanted to throw that little sick beat down and call you out. So bring it, man.
You're throwing down the gauntlet?
I'm throwing down the gauntlet, man. This is like Jimmy Fallon style, like lip sync competition. Bring it, brother. I want to see what you got.
All right.
2-1 and Lewis. Some brother shooting dice. So I said, let's do this.
We'll see. You just wait. You ain't heard nothing yet, brother.
Yeah. You can't picture anything more white though than like two white boys with the sunroof open and the geoprism in Rexburg, Idaho, listening to gangster rap.
I love how you're doing like the mic. The people can't see this, but you're doing the mic drop, in front of the camera to me. And I'm like, we're the two whitest guys possible. And like, you just challenged me to a rap battle and I've got to come back. I feel like Eminem in 8 Mile.
People have died for less. Let me just say that. Well, and a little background. So Spence actually did serve his mission. We both have served missions for our church, respectively. And so I served in Seattle, Washington, among like the Bill Gates crowd, and literally like rang his doorbell, and he was not interested. Let's just say that. And Spence spent his time down in LBC.
That's true. I was walking the streets of Long Beach. I was in Paramount and Compton and Watts, that area. Like that was the stomping grounds I had for 2 years. So I heard a lot of that kind of music being played and bumping from stereos and cars, and I've met Snoop's aunt. So
that's right, you told me that. What's his real name?
Oh,
isn't it like Cornelius or something?
No, it's not Claudius either. It's like Claudocius Browser. Yeah, you look it up. I mean, it's on the internet, but it's definitely not Snoop Dogg. But
right.
The funny thing is, I believe the story goes that like when he was a little kid, he was like really into Snoopy, and they were calling him Snoopy a lot, and he just kind of dropped the Y and became Snoop. Pretty pimp, I'll tell you that. He took a little Peanuts character and went from like that to like, look at me, yo, 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 for shizzle my nizzle dizzle, yizzle rizzle.
Right. Woodstock and Nizzle. Charlie Brown Nizzle. Peppermint Piz Natty. Pooh Nanny.
just so dumb. Peppermint Piz Nanny.
P. Nizzards, Charlie Schwiznorts.
Yeah.
Charlie Schwiz.
Charles Schultz's family's going to hear this and be like, we're going to kill those two white boys.
We're going to sue the crap out of them.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well,
I think we're done here.
I don't know where to go from there.
It's only going downhill from here, audience.
Yeah. How was your week? Tell me about your week, Steve. What is new?
Oh,
What's going on?
My week was interesting. My wife was out of town, so it was a week without a female influence, which can get dangerous.
Is she back?
She's back.
So you made it.
No, I made it. We only lost 1 out of the 4 kids, so 75% is still passing.
Very nice.
No, it was actually good. The kids actually chipped in. They were like doing laundry and dishes, and I had them busting their hump, earning their keep per Macaulay Culkin, Uncle Buck. But they did good, and we did avoid or just kind of disregard some of like the to-dos, like the swim meets and the stuff like that. And I was just like, look, we're just gonna hunker down. We're just gonna make it through. But one of the funny experiences was so I had my annual review this past week. The most important meeting of my career.
Where they review your annual.
Drop an L and maybe add an so it was like, and this is like a tribunal, so I had to do a self-review prior to this. It's a big deal. You get an hour, and it is like literally a conference room with a huge long table, and I met with like my 2 bosses, my direct bosses, a partner, the CEO, and the president. And so it's literally like this like Superman style tribunal of like guilty.
Oh, so it's we're talking Superman 1, right?
I did kind of like that.
Did you get a chance when they're giving you a review to be like, You will bow down before me, Jor-El. I swear it. No matter if it takes an eternity, you will bow down before me, both you and your heirs. Did you get to do that?
Oddly, verbatim. That is exactly what. And then this huge mirror came down from the ceiling, and I was banished to the Phantom Zone. How did you know?
Well, just that tribunal. Guilty. I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Your face, if the viewing audience could see your face when you did that impression, holy crap. That would be like, I felt like Boo from Monsters, Inc. Like watching the dream. I'm like cowering in the corner of my basement right now.
I have tears in my eyes. I'm laughing so hard right now.
Oh my gosh. So no, it was nothing like that at all. But it was funny. So it's in the conference room of our building, which is down the hall from my main office. And so I got my game face on. I've had help all week long from my mother-in-law, my mother, people from our congregation, picking up my kids, dropping them off, and all the rest. It was amazing. But this particular day, my mom had the kids, and it was an early dismissal day. Every Wednesday is an early dismissal day because the teachers need extra time off, and we need to fall further behind the Chinese. So anyway, my kids get off like 2 hours earlier on Wednesdays. So I'm walking down. I freaking got my game face on. I'm like walking down. I know exactly what I'm saying. I got my notes. I got everything. All the things I've done for the year. And suddenly I'm literally 10 feet from the door and my cell phone rings. And it's my kids' school. And I pick it up and they're like, yeah, this is Sally from South Park Elementary. Is anybody going to come pick up your kids? Because they're just here waiting. I'm like,
no.
Ugh. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So my mom was supposed to pick up the kids. I think I forgot to tell her early dismissal, or it was probably on me, whatever. Anyway, so I call my mom. I text her. I call her. I cannot get a hold of her. All right. My boss pops his head out of these conference rooms. He's like, are you coming? I'm like, yeah, I'll be there just a sec. So I call this girl in our congregation. She doesn't pick up. I call this other woman in our congregation. She's like, yes, I'll go pick up your kids. So then I call back South Park to say, hey, some odd woman that's not me or my wife in a white
Right.
van is going to pick up my kids, right? They say, oh, no, sweetheart. Your mother came and picked them up. We're all good. I'm like, ugh. So I've got to call back Wendy and get her to not go. So her kid runs after the van. So I'm like totally frazzled. And my boss said, are you ready? I'm like, yeah, I'm coming in. Just stop it. So I come in. I'm totally flustered and whatever. I'm just like, ugh. I sit down. I explain a little bit of the situation. My boss was like, oh, don't worry. It's okay. I actually work for some of the greatest people. And they're just awesome. So bottom line, after all of that, my review went better than I could have expected. They were more generous than I could have imagined, and everything in my self-review, they were like, we agree, we love you. So bottom line is it was all good. But that was the review debacle that could have ended tragically. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome though you were still able to make everything work and pull that off and do well. Because I mean, man, if I was in that position, I would be like, listen, someone is going to have a bad day and it's not going to be me.
Exactly. I go in and just overturn the conference room table. One of you guys named Jarrell? Because this guy's going postal. So
what did Jor-El do to Steve this week? He's the nicest guy ever.
Exactly. I just happened to have a coworker named Jarrell now. And then the other thing was that I kind of started quasi training for a 5K. We've got a kind of a
What does quasi training mean? Does it mean you lean over and put a pillow underneath your shirt for a hump and then train?
I Quasimodo training.
Sorry, I got nothing.
I only train in a bell tower. That's what I do. I don't know. Hellfire. I've never liked that cartoon. Every time, it's the priest lusting after Jezebel or whatever, and then there's images of a naked woman in the fire. I'm like, this is a kid's friggin' cartoon? Heck no. Hated that cartoon. Anyway, so no. So quasi training means that I haven't actually committed for the 5K because I'm afraid that I'll die doing it or have a heart attack. So anyway, so I've kind of started training. We've got a treadmill in our sunroom, and so I've training in the mornings, and it's a work kind of thing that we're gonna do. So
is it a 5K 3.5 miles?
Look, mister.
Can't you like walk
Okay.
that like in an hour? I'm
Yeah,
just
I want
saying.
to run it. I want to run it in like 25 minutes. So
Okay.
we'll see what happens.
I
happens.
respect that. I actually do more than a 5K every day in my car. And
Right. And
yeah.
you still get tired. The foot, the heel to toe, back and forth on the pedals,
Yeah, absolutely.
get you sweating a little bit. No, so I was on the treadmill this morning, and we just got this treadmill. My wife actually, bless her heart, she's awesome at this. She found I don't know if you guys know Free Cycle. If you've ever
No,
used that,
I haven't heard of it. No.
Okay, it's basically just like free stuff. And she found this doctor up in the North Shore of Chicago that was getting rid of this treadmill. And so we went over and picked it up. And this thing is like 2 years old, has like a digital screen, is the top of the line. I've looked it up. It's $6,500 treadmill. He's like, my wife and I used it once, and we like the gym better, so we don't need it. And we moved into a new house, and there's no room for it. I'm like, holy crap score.
Wow.
So I was running on this thing this morning, and I was like, I wonder how fast this thing can go, So I like go to like 7 miles an hour. I go to 8 miles an hour. I go to 9 miles an hour, and I start increasing the grade. I freaking felt like Ivan Drago. I'm like, and there's
I
some guy in
will
the back
break you.
with like horse testosterone ready to give me like steroids in my rear.
If he dies, he dies.
I will break you. So anyway, so that was my week. It was awesome. It was great. I am so pumped to be back. And how was your week?
My week was a mixed bag, to be perfectly honest. Like, there was good points to the week, and then there was some low points.
This isn't one of the low points, is it?
No, never.
Just making sure.
Maybe. No. It's great. Oh gosh. I last week re-injured my back. So if you remember, like 2.5 weeks ago, maybe now, I injured my back, here at home. And then last week I re-injured my back, trying to lift some copiers and helping this company move their stuff. And I wasn't thinking. And anyway, so like all this week, my back has just been not happy with me. It's not an open rebellion right now, but it's just not happy. So it's kind of been just kind of up and down. Like, I've been taking a heat pack with me to work, occasionally, because this other company that I work for, they were moving office space across the parking lot to another building. And so I kind of had to move some stuff around and kind of help shift stuff. Nothing heavy, but a lot of bending over and getting down on your hands and knees and crawling around under desks. And when your back's already not feeling well, not great. So anyway.
So is Brita still tying your shoes or no?
No, she only had to do that once.
Oh.
I've now switched to slip-ons.
I thought you were going to say Velcro. It's much easier.
Yeah. So that happened. Let's see here. I went and saw the Logan movie this weekend.
Oh my gosh! You got to give us like a 30-second synopsis or a review.
So here's my thing. I may not be the best person to ask because I really enjoyed like the physicality of the movie, and I enjoyed the way it was shot. Like, it looks beautiful. I mean, it looks beautiful, and there's great music. But when it came to the story and it came to the plot, like, I understood it was going to be darker. I understood it was going to be a little grittier. But some of the plot points to me that really kind of help drive the story along seemed weak, just seemed thin. And when you start getting towards the end and they're trying to explain why this doesn't work or why why Logan's struggling with his regeneration, like, it seems so weak. And there was just like this one little scene where they briefly mention like what's causing that. And it didn't feel like an X-Men movie. Now, I didn't anticipate it to necessarily feel like an X-Men movie.
Right.
But like, you didn't feel like it was Wolverine at all. I mean, even though it kind of was, you kind of didn't feel it. It just was like, this is Logan, which, granted, is probably what they were going for.
Hence the name.
Right. And I know that people who are really in love with the Old Man Logan comic probably really liked it. It's a different story. It's not the story from the comics. It's its own story. But for me, I just felt it was very unsatisfying. And the end happens and the big climax of the film, and I kind of just walked out going, I don't know. Like, yeah, really? I kind of feel like I'm on the fence. Like I said, visually it's amazing looking. The sound is great. The editing's great. I mean, like, the movie as far as a movie on the whole is great. But the problem is that I'm an X-Men fan and I've seen all the other X-Men movies, and this story to me just I just missed me, I guess.
Well,
that's
let me ask this.
way to put it.
So is it kind of like the conversation we had early on in our show when we were talking about kind of like the Ang Lee version of like Incredible Hulk, where they have to kind of use a little bit more, scientific yada yada to explain how certain things happen, and it's just kind of, it almost feels kind of like forced. And in this one, it sounded like it didn't even explain it that well.
No, it's not necessarily like that, but it's kind of like they don't explain it very well. Like, this movie is set in the future. It's like 2029, and pretty much most of the mutants are gone or in hiding. But you really don't know why they're gone or why they're in hiding. The few that are still there are in hiding. And it's like, you don't have like any story. There's no real frame of reference as to like why Logan is one of the last surviving mutants around.
And that's kind of a linchpin of the story, right? That and why he's not regenerating. Those are two pretty important.
Right. I felt like they just didn't. There wasn't enough of it, and we got more of the. It kind of felt just like a road trip Western type of movie. And like I said, if I was just looking at this movie as a standalone with never seen anything else, I would love the movie. I really think I would. It would be a really interesting story, a really interesting take on kind of some genres. But I've seen the other stuff, and I know some of the stories, and so I was expecting more. And I got to be honest, there's been a lot of X-Men movies recently where I kind of come away going, I expect more. And I don't know if that's just because I feel that like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is doing things so right and hitting it right. I mean, they hit the proper amount of story to action, and they explain things, and like the big plot points like actually help drive the story and drive the narrative and drive the action. And I feel like, like X-Men Apocalypse going back, back a movie that kind of missed. Logan for me kind of missed. X-Men Days of Future Past and X-Men First Class I thought were really, really well done. But like if I go back to like the last like really good like X-Men movie, like just X-Men movie in the movie series, it's like X-Men 2. X-Men 3 was just kind of okay. Some of it was kind of weird and the story got really muddled. But X-Men 2
we're talking
was
X-Men
fantastic.
2 with Jean Grey and
yeah, where they go up to Alkali Lake in Canada and Logan's trying to figure out where he is and he fights Lady Deathstroke. That was a great movie.
Yeah, I agree. The
first X-Men was a great movie. And then you had like the X-Men Origins Wolverine, and that wasn't super great. I mean, it was just kind of okay. But then you had the Wolverine, and that was better, but still not great. And then you had First Class and Days of Future Past, and both of those were, I thought, excellent, on par with X-Men and X-Men 2.
Yep.
And then Apocalypse just kind of wasn't great for me, and Logan just kind of wasn't great for me. Not bad. I definitely would watch it again sometime. And maybe I need a second viewing anyway. We've gone on way too long.
Yeah. No, I just think in general, though, audiences don't just want action and a pretty picture. They need, ultimately, this is storytelling, and it's got to be a good story. You've got to have a good backbone. So let's move on.
Yeah. Anyway, couple other things. I got the motorcycle out of the garage for the first time this weekend. Temperatures, I don't know about you, Steve, but temperatures here are in the high 60s right now and are looking to stay that way, high 60s, low 70s, which for Utah in the middle of March is cuckoo. It's nuts. That's never, but right now that's what it is. So I was able to get out and ride. I actually rode the motorcycle to work today. And just a little side note, I actually paid off my motorcycle at the beginning of this week. So I don't have, Yeah, I don't have any payments on it. So today was the first day that I rode my motorcycle with no payment on it. It's mine 100%. So,
Dude, the Iron Horse is yours, man. Why don't you tell the listeners what you ride?
so I'm on a 2012 Harley. It's a Dyna Wide Glide. And every good motorcyclist, every good biker has a nickname for their bike.
Steed.
Yes. I call mine Drogon, after the dragon in Game of Thrones, the Song of Ice and Fire, because it's a big black motorcycle, and I've actually put red LED lights underneath the gas tank and like the kind of the back fender area, so I can flip it on and it looks like it's kind of glowing red from underneath. So yeah, I call my motorcycle Drogon. I love it.
Drogon. That is awesome. Well, congratulations, man. Paying off.
Thank you.
It's a feat, an accomplishment.
Yeah. So real happy with that. It felt real good. Last thing I want to talk about real quick. Oh man, I've been playing a ton of the Nintendo Switch this last week. I mean, my boys are loving it. They want to, they keep asking for Zelda. Of course, they think that Link, the main character, is actually Zelda. They're 4, so trying to explain to them Zelda's the princess and Link's the...
I still think that, Spence. Don't worry.
Right. So I've been loving it. I've been playing Breath of the Wild. I've got about maybe 16 hours into the game or so, because I checked my log just yesterday. I've been talking with friends. You remember Patrick Preventis from Sycamore High School?
Yeah, little guy.
Yeah. So I don't know, it was like that little.
Carry on.
Average, maybe a little tall. I don't know.
He was in your...
Anyway,
maybe 5'9"? I don't know. Is that
yeah. Anyway, he reached out on Facebook and was talking about Breath of the Wild, and so him and I have been kind of going back and forth talking about the game somewhat, along with a bunch of other people from the Married to the Games community, and We the Gamer Cast, Sean Capri's podcast, just a bunch of the If We Ran Nintendo guys and the guys from Mega Dads Live, just a lot of people in the gaming community which has been having a great time talking about this game. However, here's where the wheels fall off for me. I pulled my Switch out of the dock this morning to take it to work so I could show some of my coworkers, because they're really interested in seeing what this looks like and how it feels. And when I pulled it out of the dock, which has been in the dock since day one when I got it, and I did think that it just didn't feel right when it went in the dock the first time. Like it's in there and it's okay, but I come from a IT world where I'm used to like docking laptops into docking stations, and there's like that satisfying click and it's like locked in and it just doesn't move and it's there. And I didn't feel that way with my Switch when I first got it, and so I was a little worried. Well, I pulled it out and I noticed that on the bottom part of the screen, it's scuffed up and scratched. And that was done by the docking station that came with it. So, admittedly, I was a little angry this morning. I was very frustrated because that thing cost $300 plus some of the accessories I purchased for it. And I've had the thing 12 days and it's scratched because it's not a glass screen, it's a plastic screen.
What?
Yes. And on top of that, I even ordered a screen protector. I don't have it yet because they've been all back ordered, because everyone's like, get a screen protector, get a screen protector. The dock could potentially scratch your Switch. A few people have said that. Well, I pulled it out and I saw it was scratched and, was frustrated. So, of course, like any rational human being, I went right to Twitter and started venting my anger. But then I decided, my brother messaged me and said, hey, why don't you reach out to Nintendo and see what they'll do? So I called Nintendo up and I talked to a wonderful young man, and he walked me through everything, and I explained to him what was going on, and he said, okay, I'm going to send you a shipping label, and you'll take just the Switch and your docking station and wrap them up and ship them here to us in California, and we will replace the screen, and we will either repair or replace the dock. So I shipped it out tonight, so I no longer have my Switch. It could be gone anywhere from like a week to 2 weeks, which is sad because all I want to do is play Breath of the Wild. I want to play Zelda right now, right? Every waking minute that I can get in time, which is admittedly not a lot being a father, I'm trying to. So it's now in a UPS shipping zone, and it's going to ship out first thing in the morning to California. So Nintendo did handle it. They did take care of it. No cost. Shipping's on them, so everything's good there. But I'm a little disappointed that the hardware that came with it caused the problem. Like if I had done something to cause that problem, I could be angry at myself, but I wouldn't blame anyone else. But this is a design flaw, and I think some people are saying that maybe during shipping that the dock's like bent or twisted, and I looked and the dock isn't perfectly the same width at the bottom as the top. The top pinches in a little bit more, so that can't be good.
So let me ask this. The screen being plastic, have you found any other design things that you're like, this is a little bit of a corner cut, this is a little bit cheaper than it probably could be?
The kickstand on the back of it, I really wish that the kickstand was, I wish that it would extend back a little further so I could pitch the Switch when it's sitting on the table. I wish I could pitch it up and get a little bit better angle. I feel like I have to lean back.
It's pretty up, straight up and down.
Yeah, I mean, it's not 100%, but if I could get a 45-degree angle on it, I think that would be probably the most you would ever want. But it's at a really, it's maybe a 70% angle. I mean, it's not great. So that I wish, and the kickstand feels a little flimsy. I was hoping it was going to be more, and the kickstand's just on one side, on one corner. So if you bump it or put too much force on the other side, it's going to fall back and flop back on its back. So I wish that it would have been more like the Microsoft Surface Pro, where that kind of kickstand pretty much goes the whole length, and you can flip it out, and it's got two really satisfying clicks in two different positions, so you can get a better angle. You know what I'm talking about? I wish it had something more like that. Other than that, I mean, I know some people are having some issues with the left Joy-Con controller desyncing in the middle of games. I'd never experienced that. But then again, I also bought the Pro controller, which kind of feels like an Xbox controller, and it's all wireless, and I've been using that to play when I'm in docked mode, which is primarily how I'm going to play. I think I'll take it out, when I know I'm going to have... Yeah, when I'm on the John, exactly. Got to get that old poop life going. Playing some
Hemorrhoids, here you come.
Yeah, right. But
you've been in there for 3 hours. I'm kidding. I'll let it go. Well, cool. I wonder how, and I know that the Switch is off to pretty hot start.
It sold 2 million in the first month.
Yeah, which is phenomenal. But I also hear that the Sony the Sony VR. The virtual reality, is still holding its own. It's doing well.
I mean, I would imagine so, because it's new and it's different.
It's different.
At least it's different for something that gamers can have in their own home. I mean, realistically, the virtual goggles and whatnot have been around. That kind of technology has been around for a long time. Now they've refined it more, and it's gotten a lot better. That's for sure.
And more accessible.
Now you can get it for whatever it is, $400 or $500, and you can have it in your own home. You don't have to go to a Dave and Buster's and spend $30 to play for 2 minutes. So,
yeah. Well, cool. Well, I'm glad you had a good week. I hope that the motorcycle riding actually helps, not hurts the back. And
no problems there so far.
Good, man. Well, I'll have to get a hog, and we can ride. Easy Rider.
I've been trying to convince you to get a motorcycle for years, man.
Dude, I would lay it down the first day, man.
Now you would.
Bad luck.
I've tried to explain this to you, but if you have your hand on the throttle and you're giving it gas, the bike wants to stand up. It's the physics involved. It does not want to lay down.
Look, I'm no mathematician, Stapleton. I am a communication major. No, I remember, so my stepfather, when I was way too young, I was 8 or 9, he was a motorcycle rider as well. And so he takes me over to our local elementary school. He puts me on top of a Suzuki 650. I'm 9. I'm not kidding. And he's like, all right, you're going to be in first gear. Just don't shift gears and go. So I'm like, okay, and by myself. He's not on the bike at all. He just lets me go. So I'm riding this thing. I'm going across the football field or the baseball field, whatever. you know West School, right back by where the
Oh, yeah.
baseball diamond was. I start going towards the school where all those like bushes are, and I don't know how to turn, so I just like jump off, and the thing's like and just like lays it down. He's just like,
So
I was 9.
Here's the question I'm going to ask you right now. Did you just get Mike in trouble with Nancy?
No, I actually mentioned it a few weeks ago when they were here, and he's like, "Oh, it was perfectly fine." I'm like, "What if I would have gunned it and I would have like rammed the school? Property damage and physical damage."
Awesome. You also had that mini bike though.
Yeah. After that, I actually bought my sons two mini bikes. We've got 2 Razor mini bikes because we live in a pretty dense, neighborhood, obviously, and so we can't have like gas powered. They're too loud. But I gotta tell you, man, I'm not like a big product placement pusher, whatever. But the Razor bikes that are like these little mini bikes, battery powered, they're awesome. They charge for like an hour. They go like 14 miles an hour with my fat butt on it, and they're so much fun. So Addison has one, and Carter has one. They like ride to school with them. In fact, while Carrie was gone, I just let them ride their dirt bikes to school, and I picked the dirt bikes up, when they got off. It was so fun.
I wish I could have ridden a dirt bike when I was that age.
Right? I'm like Mr. Cool Dad, man. I got tons of brownie points with my kids.
Of course, you and I both lived so close to our elementary school. You walked out the front door, and you were pretty much on school property.
I was going to say, you shared a border with school, so
right.
You jump over the fence.
I'm there. Oh.
How anticlimactic.
Right. All right. Anyway, well, good. I'm glad we had good weeks, or relatively good weeks at least.
Yeah.
Steve, let's do this, man. Let's get into some Rebel Intelligence, which is my favorite part of the podcast.
Love it.
Let's do it, man. It's time for some Rebel Intelligence. I always have to let you know, Steve, that many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
All right, Steve. I am glad we are here. We are to my favorite part. So I want to start this off. This is kind of a tech thing. I thought you might like to hear this. Maybe you've already heard this, but Google, all hail our overlord, is getting rid of the CAPTCHA. You know, the little thing where you've got to type in the little words that you see, and it allows you to like log in, like, right, for security purposes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's the little box that's super annoying. It's like, hey, you've put in your password, and now you have to type, the little, 6 letters, XQRD, and you're like, I don't know about you, but half the time I can't even read that crap, and I have to hit the little button to do it again and do it again. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah. Now I know what you're talking about. I thought you meant for like regular Google. I'm like, you have a password over just like a browser?
No.
Okay, I got you.
Anyway, that's called CAPTCHA, and that is actually being replaced. Google has determined that computers are getting really fantastic at reading those words. I mean, we're borderline on, Cyberdyne Systems and, Skynet.
Skynet?
Yeah. So basically, they're getting rid of it. Instead, this is even more Skynet-y. Google is going to analyze your browsing habits and behaviors when you're on the page to determine if you are moving the mouse and clicking things like a real human would, or like a computer trying to approximate human behavior.
What the heck?
Right?
What if they determine that you're not human? You're like, I am a cyborg. It's true. Mom, you never told me.
Apparently you won't be able to log in and order those fleece socks you were trying to get.
Just be very sporadic with your mouse action.
It's just really interesting to me. Something like this is kind of happening because, I mean, CAPTCHA has been around for a while, and they're trying to always improve the security. But now it's like, we are going to watch what you're doing and determine if you're a real boy. I mean, human.
Got no strings to hold me down, right, to make me fret or make me frown. Geppetto.
Guilty. Right. All right. Anyway, what do you got for me?
Whatsoever. Upcoming X-Men TV show on Fox has a working title, Gifted. And the show is going to, not surprisingly, be about a group of teens that are gifted. Their powers and their parents are going to, their normal parents are going to try to keep them safe. from the government and all the rest, and from Google. And the show is released its first cast photo. Looks like there's the parents, I think, were from Angel and what other show? I can't remember. But anyway, so that's going to be out, I think. Shooting starts this month.
What do you think of that name, Gifted?
Not my favorite.
I really do hope it's the working title and it doesn't like end up being the title, because that just seems like, I don't know, it seems like it's like too right on the head.
Vanilla. It's just vanilla. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's not like X-Men: Gifted, teens discover their powers, part 2, or something,
Right. Yeah, so we'll see. So, I'll check it out. But, Fox does all right.
Yeah, they're not doing too bad. All right, let me ask you a question. Are you a King Kong fan?
Well, based on last week's podcast, I am a King of Kong fan. See what I did there? Donkey
zing.
Kong.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I like the old one, and I like the newer one with Jack Black. It wasn't bad.
The Peter Jackson movie from like 2004. That's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
So I don't know if you've seen. There's been previews everywhere, but there's a new Kong movie, Skull Island, that was out last weekend. Opened up. And it looks like it was doing pretty well. I mean, I don't quite remember what the box office numbers were, but I feel like it was making pretty decent money. And they've already said that there's going to be an upcoming Godzilla movie called, so this one was called Kong Skull Island. Now there's a Godzilla movie, I think, coming out next year called Godzilla King of Monsters. And now they've said that they're going to do a Godzilla versus Kong movie. And to make this more interesting, they have like 7 writers who are writing this script right now for Kong versus Godzilla. And let me ask you, you got 2 big monsters. They're going to go at it. What story is there?
Yeah, do you need 7 writers? Really? Unless 6 of them are just really crappy.
I don't know. I'm not a big Godzilla, King Kong type of fan. I mean, they're okay, but for me, that's just a popcorn movie, right? You go see it, you eat some popcorn, it's big monsters, destroying a town or, squashing a bunch of Japanese people. And it's just, I don't know.
You say it so flippantly, like the Japanese don't matter. Sorry, Okinawa.
No. I'm just saying they don't matter to Godzilla, apparently.
Well,
Gojira does not respect them. He squashes them.
My dad actually texted me today. He's coming over next week, and he said that he just saw Skull Island this afternoon. Said it was PK. Don't know what that stands for, but he said
pretty
that
cool, maybe, but using a K, like a KEWL, cool,
like Toys R Us with the backwards R. Weird, Dad. No, but he said it was pretty good. Maybe it was supposed to be PG. I don't know.
Maybe OK. P and O right next to each other on the keyboard.
Decipher his texts. Maybe this is a robot sending me the text and not really my dad. What have you done with my father? Give me back my son. Little ransom, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, but he said it actually made him spill his popcorn twice. So I don't know if that's, I guess, a good thing.
Let me ask, does your dad listen to the podcast?
He has not found how to download it yet from Google.
Okay, so your dad didn't drop. Then I can say this: your dad didn't drop the popcorn because he was scared. He's old.
I'm gonna have him start listening this week.
I love you, Tim.
Post-production, edit that. You're out of the will, Stapleton.
All right. Well, that's not surprising. All right. What else do you got for me?
I have just a little thing. HBO has confirmed that the Game of Thrones will return July 16th, 2017.
Woohoo!
And I know you're a big fan, as you have named your
My
mechanical
motorcycle.
bull after it. So
Drogon, yes. So here's the cool thing. Like, I'm excited for this to come back. The sad thing is that now we're in a place where the TV show is going past the books because the next book hasn't been released yet. And so all this stuff could be spoilery for the book. And I've been a book reader first before I watch the TV show. Not that matters to anyone other than myself, just because I love it.
Here's a question, though. Will it diverge from the books, you think?
Well, it's going to have to, because I think that Dan White, or is it Dan Weiss or DB Weiss? Anyway, the two showrunners, They know how the series ends. They've talked to George R.R. Martin, the author. They know how the series ends, so I'm going to believe that they have an idea of kind of how the characters are going to get there.
Okay.
But they don't know what George R.R. Martin's really going to write because he hasn't finished the book yet. And after that book, he still has another book, he said, to finish the complete series. So, all that being said, yeah, it's going to have to divulge. There's going to be things that are going to happen. I worry, though, because we're going to know possibly how his book series ends from the TV show.
Before he does.
Yeah, at least before we do. He knows how it's going to end. But I'm excited it's coming back. It's only, I think, going to be 8 episodes this season instead of the normal 10. And then next season's only going to be 6. So they're shortening up the last 2 seasons a few episodes. So
Okay. Well, that'll be that'll be good.
So Steve, I know you love really spectacular movies that are visually captivating. And
guilty as charged.
Guilty. That's never going to get old. So Avatar, you remember that little old film from 2009?
Oh, don't I, James Cameron?
The one that everyone's like, you got to see this. This is amazing. Spectacular visuals, I will admit. Story was a really, really thin. It was Fern Gully.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, he's doing a few sequels. I think like 3, maybe 4 sequels, but he's filming them all together. Well, they've been delayed again. Originally, it was supposed to be, like 2016, then it was 2017. Now it's supposed to be 2018 for the first, and I think since he's filming them, he's going to release them like one after another each year, kind of like Lord of the Rings did.
Right.
But, 2009, now it's going to be 2018 when the sequel releases, 9 years later, and then he's going to hit up with sequel after sequel. I don't see how that's going to go as well as he probably plans.
Well, and also, like, where is the story going to go? I mean, their tree fell down, and they defeated the humans, and
yeah,
spoiler alert. It's not like Lord of the Rings where there's still more to the story, and there's still a journey, and there's still, they finished the movie. It was a standalone movie. I watched it with these own 2 eyes.
Yeah. I didn't really care for the movie to begin with. I'm not interested in the sequels, but I just find it interesting that it's been delayed again. Yeah. And the more that happens, and I get it, if he's trying to make it a technological masterpiece, but man, technology's changed. So I think the big thing with Avatar and why so many people went and saw it is that the 3D technology looked so good and was so different radically than the 3D technology that had been around since like the 50s and 60s, right? With the little red and blue glasses.
Since Jaws.
Right.
Captain EO. Michael Jackson.
Ooh, Captain EO.
Very cool. Well,
I don't know what he's going to do. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'd probably go see it. I like the first one. I actually liked the mech warrior things that the guys had. That was kind of cool. So I don't know if you've seen, but Wonder Woman trailer was released recently. And have you seen that, Spence?
Yeah, I did. That looks really good.
It does. It looks really good. It's got Chris Pine in it, which I think he's phenomenal in most everything he's
Captain Kirk,
man. James Tiberius. And so he plays the male lead, and I'm not sure the actress's name, but she's beautiful and she looks.
It's Gal Gadot.
Yeah, exactly. That was a weird name, but yeah, good job, parents. Anyway, so
I like how you're mocking her parents. Good job, parents. You named your kid Gal Gadot.
Good job, Jarrell. Anyway, so no, it looks really good. It obviously it has some Nazi undertones, taking over the world, kind of World War II-esque, but yeah, it looks visually pretty spectacular. So
I thought her character was the best part of that Batman versus Superman movie.
Yeah,
and I'm hoping DC knocks it out of the park and we finally get a movie that we don't go, well, I mean, it was kind of okay, and kind of have to justify why we went and saw it in the first place.
Apologize, I think, is what.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so we'll see. So when that comes out, I'd be interested to see it.
Yeah, so I think I'll go see it. I mean, it looked good. If it's like the trailer, I'm gonna be happy. But if it's nothing like the trailer, I'm gonna just be angry. I don't know.
First the Switch, now this.
That and Batman versus Superman. Just anyway. I don't want to get into that again. So do you like The Big Bang Theory?
I love it. Love it.
Here's an interesting tidbit. They've got, I think, another season or two they're renewed for.
Yeah.
But they're going to do a spin-off show based on young Sheldon.
Really? Who's going to play young Sheldon?
No idea yet. I mean, but I think Jon Favreau is attached to the project. Like, he may direct it some or help write some of it. And
I love him.
Yeah, I mean, he does real well. Okay. He has a friend of Ben Affleck, so you may have to deal with that. No, I don't know how I feel about this because I like The Big Bang Theory, but I feel like in the last few seasons it's just not as funny. Like they've kind of got to the point where
it's just a sitcom.
It's like like it's now like, hey, we married off one of the characters to another person, and now another one's married, and now there's a baby involved. It's kind of like the thing when the show starts going too long, and they run test groups and focus groups, and they feel like, oh, it's starting to get stale, so we need to spice it up, and let's give the Seavers another kid on Growing Pains.
Exactly. Enter in
Leo DiCaprio.
Leo DiCaprio. There you go.
I don't know why I said it like that. Leo DiCaprio. It's really, really weird, like sing-song.
Lighten the loafers there, Stapleton. No, I like The Big Bang Theory. I've always liked it, but you're right. The last few seasons, and it happens. It happens with every show. It just, well, not every show, but it happens with a lot of shows where it just trails off, and then they all kind of sense like, okay, the story's done.
Yeah. I mean, they just start to have to do things to try to kind of keep it fresh and relevant, and not that that's a bad thing, because a lot of shows that have longevity have to do that. But we'll see with the young Sheldon. I mean, as long as it's not like the third season of Big Bang where it was Bazinga every 3 seconds, I'm okay with that, because that got old for me very fast.
Right. But I think any show that you can pit, Blossom with, a member of the Roseanne cast, I mean, hey, that's a match made in heaven.
Yes, absolutely.
Trailer park heaven, but yes, heaven.
That's it, man. I'm tapped out for Rebel Intelligence. You got anything else?
I think I'm good. Actually, one thing I wanted to mention on a small side note, I something came over my phone this morning actually, which it was rating platforms for video game production. So basically, like on all the different platforms from Xbox to the Nintendo to smartphones, PCs, everything. What do you think has the highest percentage of new games that are being produced?
Ooh. Out of all platforms, what has the highest percentage of new games being produced? Define new games, like new IP?
Current games, current ideas,
Oh,
I was surprised.
You know what? The Nintendo 3DS. That's going to be my guess.
That is a great guess. PCs.
Oh,
so
okay.
It kind of makes sense. As I read through the article, it talked about, there's a low entry barrier. So anybody and their numbnuts brother can come up with a game idea and just kind of throw it up on the internet, as opposed to, a Nintendo or a PlayStation where you actually have to have back end, have to be an EA or a, Activision or something like that, to get something, down the pipe.
Huh.
54% of new games are produced on PCs.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, Steam is so huge, and, developers will, make these little indie games and try to get them onto Steam, and
exactly.
Steam is a client, and you can get, probably thousands, millions of games. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's interesting, though.
Yeah, a little tidbit for the listening public, but yes. That's all I got.
Okay. Last week we had a great talk about arcade games, and we asked you a question. But before I get to that, I decided, Steve, that I just was going to toss out a random, hey, ask us a question and we'll give you an answer. And so let's do that first because I find that fun.
Let's do it.
We only got one, and it was from on Twitter, Spin Nerd at dspin67, and he says, "When do you think the Switch will be available on store shelves like the Xbox One and the PS4?" That's an interesting question because Nintendo has a history like they did with the Wii and then kind of the Wii U and what I believe they're doing like the NES Classic is that they manufacture only so much and then they build up demand and then they release just what they have and then people are like clamoring to get them and then it takes a little while before they release more. And so they've kind of done this a few times. They definitely did this with the Wii. I think we're probably going to see a small limited amount of Switches in April, especially since they're going to be releasing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is going to be a big title. I mean, it's kind of like a revamp of Mario Kart 8 that was on the Wii U.
Right.
So I see them releasing some more consoles to try to help, kind of help fuel that. But I would guess that probably it's going to be mid to late summer, sometime after E3, the big electronic expo that's, all about video games. I would imagine it's going to be sometime after that where they're going to announce a whole bunch of games coming in later the year and early next year. That's when I see them, late summer is when I see them having Switches everywhere and you can find them just as easy. I think they're trying to play the hey, we only have a limited supply, you better pre-order.
It's in the vault.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know. That's my feeling. What do you think, Steve?
No, I definitely agree, and it's interesting because I don't see a lot of other game manufacturers or console manufacturers doing that, and I wonder how successful it's been for them and kind of why they do it. If I mean, obviously they to pent up demand and release them like the floodgates of Niagara.
I don't know if you remember the Wii, but like a year after the Wii had been released, they were still kind of releasing it. They could only manufacture so many, and like 12 of them would show up at a Best Buy on a random like Saturday morning, and people would like race down there and like fight for them. Like a year later, I mean, it was crazy demand, and so I don't know.
You think as just a business move, is that the best way to do it, or if there's that much pent up demand, why not just sell those mothers? Like, I
don't know, man. Nintendo always makes some interesting business choices that not a lot of other businesses would necessarily make, and sometimes they really, really pay off, and other times they kind of fall flat. So, I mean, the Wii U is not the Wii U. This Nintendo Switch is really cool. It's really hot. I mean, they sold out everywhere, and people are wanting it. They love the idea about being able to play at home, docked, and then pull it out and immediately keep playing. So it's, I don't know.
Well, I wonder if they use that as well, kind of as a way to thwart competition, So a lot of times when they have a huge release, a lot of other, game manufacturers will try to kind of position theirs around other releases to kind of combat them. But if they can keep theirs red hot for a longer period of time where others that just like let the floodgates open and they're just everywhere kind of dies out quicker, whereas they can keep kind of that steady heightened arousal for
And I mean, Xbox One and PS4 has been out for a few years now, and we're not really ready to go to the next generation of PlayStation and Xbox. So right now, Nintendo does have a window where they're really the only new console that's out there right now. And they're only going to be able, they pretty much have this wide open window where no one else is really going to be competing with them for new console sales in the same way. So, I don't know. We'll see. I really hope it takes off. I mean, I really hope this Switch sells really well. I think a lot of people are dying to get back and play some Nintendo games and some first party like Mario's and Zelda's and, Metroids and whatnot, what have you, that they can't play elsewhere. But they need a good console, and the Wii U was not a good console for most people. It really did sell poorly, and it just didn't get the support from third-party developers. So,
no, that was I played it at a mall one time with my kids just as like a test during the Christmas season. It was just horrible.
Yeah, that big tablet was just unwieldy. I did not care for it.
No, it was bad.
Anyway, thank you for the question. Like I said, later in the summer. That's my guess. Steve, what's your guess?
I would probably say the same. I mean, I would say definitely probably into, kind of the pre-Christmas season. We're going to, see a lot more on shelves, I would imagine. But again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they pull back the reins. Maybe they unleash a little bit more than they would from summer to early fall, and then they pull back the reins in light of Christmas.
Yeah, you never know.
Like those crazy Cabbage Patch Kids of our youth.
Garbage pail kids. Blah.
That's right.
Last week, like I said a little earlier ago, last week we asked you, what arcade game do you miss? And we got some responses. We're going to start on Twitter. Chowfie at that Chowfie says, more than any game, I miss those cabinets that actually had movement, like Space Harrier or Afterburner. I remember playing Afterburner a lot. You remember you sit in that thing and it would move? Yeah.
Afterburner was a great game. That was the one with like the silver controller, right?
Yep, the joystick. Yep.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, good call, Chowfie. I like that. MLS Chop at MLS Chop says, in retrospect, it's pretty lame, but Time Traveler with the full motion video hologram gameplay blew my mind back in the day.
I don't remember that game.
I don't really either. But I'm gonna go look it up because a few of these I've been really busy this week, so I haven't had a lot of time. But I've looked up a few that I didn't quite remember and watched for a little bit. So I'm gonna have to go check out Time Traveler.
Yeah, thanks for the shout out. That's awesome.
Yeah. Let's see. Moving on. Delvin Cox at Delvin_Cox says Dragon's Lair. I remember playing Dragon's Lair.
Ooh, good call.
Yeah, I like that. Nathan Thomas at Voiced by Nathan says, until Friday, I may have said the Simpsons arcade game, but my fellow co-workers and I rallied to beat it at a local beercade, and he did include a screenshot of the Simpsons arcade game with like the end credits scene that they beat it.
Wow.
And so he says,
serious? Holy crap. That's a lengthy game as I recall.
Yes. And he says, now I'd have to say X-Men arcade.
Also a good choice. Wait, so the Simpsons one, that was when you could be Bart with the skateboard, Homer with, I forget what he had, but you could like use it as a weapon.
Yeah, it was, you could be Marge, Homer, Bart, and Lisa.
Or Lisa. Yeah.
Yep.
Great game.
Yep. Let's see here. Moving on. Josh Stapleton at CRed_81 said, old arcade games like Defender and Galaga are cool, but NBA Jam was, to quote the announcer, on fire.
Oh, was that the one where if you made like 3 shots, like the ball would literally be on fire?
Yeah. Yeah. And he also tagged it. He says, hashtag boom shakalaka. So, yeah. Josh and I used to play a ton of NBA Jam. That was one of those games like we played in the arcade, but then it came to Super NES and we had it on the SNES. Yeah, and once you get 3 in a row, is he's on fire.
He's heating up.
And yeah, you could shoot from like full court and just swish it
from the locker room. He made it.
Right. Moving on. Ian Corey Drake at iDrake76 says, I miss Crystal Castles. Still trying to find that arcade cabinet for my home. Brother, best of luck there. If you can get an arcade cabinet in your home, you've got a good one there. Keep her.
There you go. And a good wife behind you if you're married.
Right. Devin Tyus at Dev Tyus says, Double Dragon, TMNT the arcade game, Final Fight, Run and Gun, and Samurai Showdown.
Samurai Showdown, was that like a little bit like Ninja Gaiden?
I believe so. I couldn't remember Samurai Showdown, but the other's Double Dragon. I mean, gosh, I played a ton of Double Dragon, ton of TMNT, Final Fight, and Run and Gun. But so there's our Twitter responses, and then I'm going to roll over here to the old email. And once again, our good friend Peter Christensen says,
Booyah!
Dear nerds, I was so disappointed to hear that Billy Mitchell is a decent guy. When I watched King of Kong, he was the most despicable villain ever. I expected him to get White Goodman and from Dodgeball and Biff Tannen to wash his car, but chalk up a point to decent humanity, I guess. 2 votes for my iconic arcade games. Man, I could barely get that out. Woo! It says Rastan was a barbarian side-scroller. It says on a completely unrelated note, Conan the Destroyer was like his favorite kids movie. Anyway, it says
Great
Rastan.
movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, awesome. Rastan was at the 7-Eleven near my grandparents' house, and my cousins and we would walk there when we had a few quarters. The other was Final Fight, a side-scrolling beat-em-up. This was at the bowling alley where my mom was in a league when I was in 3rd grade. I got $2 allowance a week, which wasn't enough to keep me busy for the whole bowling game. My white whale of video games would be the SNES Zelda game. I would never want a cabinet in my home and don't even want to buy a SNES console or look for a decent emulator for my computer. So I guess I'm saying that video games aren't that big of a deal for me, and my playing Crossy Roads seems to confirm that. Thanks for another great show, Peter. I looked up that Rastan. Do you remember Rastan?
I'm gonna have to look it up while we're talking.
He included a YouTube link, and I watched it. Rastan to me seemed a lot like Contra, like especially like the backgrounds of Contra, but with like Conan the Barbarian wielding like a double-bladed axe, and like
I totally remember this game. Absolutely.
Okay. I don't remember that I ever played that one.
I would say so. Props to Peter, but also props to Peter's mom for letting him be watched by a video game while she bowled her heart's content to,
I just love the
300 game.
I just love the fact that he said, "Yeah, the $2 a week wasn't enough to keep me busy during a bowling game," so that means he wasn't that good at Rastan.
Oh, that's great. What about? Do you remember the game Altered Beast?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that Sega game.
Sure.
I used to love that when you were the puny little guy, and then you get something, and you get a little bit bigger, and then you turn to the beast.
Yep,
that was freaking awesome.
I do remember that, and that also came out on the Sega Genesis, and I remember having it on the Genesis.
Yep.
But anyway, thank you for your responses. We love interacting with our listeners. Keep it up. We're always going to put our question out on Facebook and Twitter every week, and keep those responses coming. Steve.
Yeah.
We have a movie club that's going to be coming up, and I believe we're going to watch Doctor Strange for the month of March.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I know that I said early on that I'd take a gander, and I have not been true to my word just yet. So I'm looking forward to watching that.
So yeah, month of March, we're going to have Brita come back and join us, and we're going to watch Doctor Strange. If you are ever interested in joining us for a movie club, hit us up on Twitter at Fort of Nerd or Facebook.com /Fort of Nerd and let us know. We're always looking for someone who's got an interesting take who would like to talk about our movie club that month. So look out. We're probably going to do the Doctor Strange movie at the end of the month of March. So moving right along, Steve.
Moving along. In search of good times and good news with good friends you can't lose. This could become a habit. It's from Muppets. I got nothing.
Yeah.
I've gone from Tupac to Muppets.
Rolling right along, we got the highways and byways.
This could become
Fozzie Bear singing. Oh man, I love that song. I love that whole soundtrack, by the way.
That is a good soundtrack.
Yeah. Someday we'll find it. The rainbow connection. The lovers. The dreamers. And me. That's never gonna match up in editing.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'm gonna slow this one down for you a little bit. It was actually kind of funny. My son Carter, he's got a computer at school, and they all do. But every once in a while he'll like email me, and the other day he emailed me this picture of Beaker with like a computer that was on fire, and of course Beaker's like, it had this little face. And on a small crazy side note, today my son emailed me, and he emailed me this link to eBay, and he's like, "Dad, I found a car that I think you should buy." And I'm like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "First of all, what are you doing like on eBay at school?"
Right.
And so, monitoring car sales. Do you have like a side business? You got a side hustle, son? And he's like, it's only $1,300. And I click on the link, and it's this like white limousine.
Ooh.
And I'm
Do
like,
it.
what the
Do
heck?
it.
He's like, Dad, we could totally buy this. And it all spawns from this time that I had to get, I was traveling to Puerto Rico for business, and I had to go to the airport really early. And the only cab or whatever that I could get to come pick me up was like this limo. So this limo comes, and it's like this like high-end brand new limo. It's got like all these like crazy disco lights inside. So I had him come out and sit. It was like 3 a.m. I had him come out and sit in it. And ever since then, he's like, Dad, we need to buy a limo. I'm like, yeah, we're not already weird enough to have 4 kids in like a place that has like 1 kid per family. Now we're driving the limo, dropping the kids off to school in a freaking limo.
You should do it. It's only $1,300.
I was like, son, where would we park that? And why aren't you doing math at school? He's like, it actually is part of math. So he told me later that they had a budget of like $6,000 for the month. They had to buy a car, get groceries, pay their utility bills. And I'm like, and my son buys a limo. That's right. Nice.
A white limo with the rims on it.
Yeah, that's right. And it said, when we went down to Vegas that one time when we tried to marry those 2 girls, and there was that picture of me on top of that white limo. What?
Dude, can you just back this story up a little bit? That one time when we went down to Vegas to marry those 2 girls.
You remember?
No, I don't. You're on your own.
Marsha Williams and Jennifer Shumway. Don't tell me you don't remember. The Chapel O' Love. But anyway, so I have a picture on top of a white limo that was not ours, and there was the license plate said something really funny.
It said like fancy or something like that.
Fancy, like macho, or like.
I have that picture somewhere.
If you find it, post that mother on our Facebook page.
Okay. I can find it.
I'll do the same. I'll search for some funny pictures.
Matter of fact, I know that I have it in the basement in a pile of photos from like around the college years.
Yeah,
it's sitting in a box. I know exactly where that photo is.
It's got to say Maestro or something funny. Anyway, yeah. I digress. What's our main topic, man? We've been on this thing for over an hour.
What are we doing? Do you remember that one time when we went to Vegas to marry those 2 girls? Just the way, like, that's how you introduce the story about laying on some dude's limo and taking a photo.
It was all related to my son's eBay travails.
Do you remember that one time when we buried a body in the desert? Because we were looking for a gas station?
Ixnay on the body, eh?
Oh, man.
You will bow down before me. This podcast has gone off the rails. I think we need to wrap this thing up.
Okay. So let's. I don't know. So.
Do we save it? Do we just couch this thing?
I'm just still caught up on the whole. That one time when we went to Vegas to marry these 2 girls.
I was young. I needed the work.
It makes us sound like we were some like old men in like some human trafficking ring.
We weren't.
Oh, well, I'm just saying. So Steve, I want to talk for a little bit here with you about Star Wars Episode 8. I mean, this is the big movie, right? I think, there's going to be a lot of big movies that's coming out this year. I mean, you've got the Spider-Man Homecoming, the Thor Ragnarok, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. But you've got Star Wars Episode 8 coming out in December at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And we haven't talked about that a lot, and there's not a lot of rumors going around, but there's a few. And this last week, more fuel was kind of added to that fire. And Disney had I don't know if you heard about this, but Disney had like a investors call. And part of that was that they showed off footage from Star Wars The Last Jedi to their investors.
Yeah, no, I saw that. Yep.
So I don't know if that's going to ever be made available online. I'm guessing it's not. But from kind of what I heard, that a lot of it's nothing like that's going to give away plot, nothing that's going to give any great detail, but basically stuff that's like Rey holding a lightsaber and, maybe training a little bit and, Luke and whatnot, and some just random kind of shots that I think this could all end up in a trailer. So, do you think that they had to show that at a investors call, or do you think that was more of a let's just kind of show you what we've got coming up and give you a little surprise, a little treat?
Yeah, no, I think the latter. I think I've actually been in a lot of investor calls for different companies where the CEO's there, and he's basically got to show good, man. He's got to show what he's doing, and so is it Bob Iger?
Yeah, Bob Iger, Disney.
Yeah, CEO. He's got to basically show. I would assume a group of hungry investors that he can recreate the record-breaking $55 billion in revenue that the company had last year. And so he needs to show kind of where their money's going and what fuel is going to be in the fire for this year.
Right. But I would imagine that the money they're going to make on episode 8 actually isn't going to be for fiscal year 2017, but probably fiscal year 2018.
True that. Yep.
So that would also mean then that fiscal year 2017 would probably include Rogue One and the money that made.
True. Yeah.
So, which, by the way, Rogue One, if you're interested, Blu-ray, DVD, April 4th. So it's just right around the corner, which means if you're doing digital through iTunes or Google Play, it's probably going to come out it usually comes out a week or 2 weeks earlier. I only know that because we've been watching Moana for a few weeks, almost a month now, and I think it just barely came out on Blu-ray and DVD everywhere else. So,
what's interesting is, I don't know if you read, but the article that I think we passed back and forth, but I don't know if you read the whole thing, but it talked about that in September. Iger told his investors that the company wasn't expecting Rogue One to match the success of The Force Awakens for multiple reasons. He said, he just didn't know if he could replicate the level of excitement, and this was a new Star Wars movie in the last 10 years, and so it was kind of interesting to see that they kind of didn't expect Rogue One to do all that well.
And Rogue One did really well.
Oh yeah, it blew the doors off.
I mean, gosh, the more I think back to that, because I think I saw it 3 times in the theater, the more I think back to that movie, it was just really, really well done and a great story, and it made a whole heck of a lot of money for Disney. So, yeah. Let me ask you this. Did you see the thing about Frank Oz this week?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so if you're a Star Wars fan, you know the name Frank Oz because he was the voice and puppeteer of Yoda. Now he's done other stuff. I mean, that was horrible. Sorry. I apologize. Let me take that back.
What crap was that? Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. What was that supposed to be? Is that a Yoo-hoo commercial?
Anyway, Frank Oz has done a bunch of stuff. And he's done puppeteering and voice work. So here's the weird thing. Frank Oz was asked if he's in episode 8. And his answer was kind of it was weird. It wasn't no, I'm not in it. Or yes, I'm in it. Because obviously if he is in it, that means his character that he's, known for in the Star Wars means Yoda's in this movie. Which he can't say he's in it. So you would think he would just say no. Well, he kind of said, well, I don't know what to say because I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. It was kind of like this sort of an answer, I'm not going to make anyone happy no matter what I say. What does that mean? So let's get into speculation here.
Go.
If he won't confirm or deny that he's part of episode 8, I'm going to say right now, we're going to see Yoda in the form of a Force ghost, and he's going to be voicing Yoda.
Agreed.
I mean, is there anything more obvious, it seems like to me, especially knowing that they used a little bit of Frank Oz's dialogue in episode 7, when Rey grabs the lightsaber and she kind of has the memories and kind of that flashing where she sees, history and a little bit of the future. You know what I'm talking about?
Is that when she sees Darth's helmet?
It's when she sees Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren in the forest, And she also kind of has that flashback to when she's being dropped off by what we assume to be her parents. It's at the bottom of that cantina where she finds Luke's first lightsaber, which was Anakin's lightsaber, right?
Yep.
So we hear a little snippet of Frank Oz's Yoda in that. So I'm just saying, I think he's going to be in this movie. If that's true, how do you feel about that?
Great. I think, great character. I mean, I don't know what else to say about him. I mean, it'd be great to have him in it. I think he's phenomenal, and it'd be great to have a little Yoda action, man. I love the little green guy. He's so adorable.
Yeah.
Little
Well,
ears.
I also think that he would be a good, because we know, let's go back here. Return of the Jedi, right? And let's talk about the original ending. Let's not talk about the special edition when Hayden Christensen gets put into the end as a Force ghost as Anakin, because I don't want to talk about that. That's horrible.
That's crap.
No. At the end of Return of the Jedi, when they're on, they're on Endor, and they're having the little celebration with the Ewoks, and Luke kind of looks over and he sees the Force ghost of Obi-Wan, the Force ghost of Yoda, and then the Force ghost of Anakin, his father. And he kind of sees them, and they kind of, look at him, and he kind of looks at him and smiles a little bit, and then Leia kind of pulls him back into the party, and that's how the movie ends, right?
Right.
So we know that these three characters have appeared as Force ghosts to Luke before. I think we're going to see Yoda appearing once again as a Force ghost to Luke, still trying to help mentor him, because the whole reason that Luke is in hiding is that he was trying to train the next generation of Jedi, and Kylo Ren went bad and slaughtered and killed a bunch of the other pupils that Luke had at the time.
Right.
So I could totally see this fitting in where you have Yoda trying to counsel Luke and, kind of help him, coerce him from beyond the grave to train Rey and give her a chance, because he gave Luke a chance even though Luke was too old for the training, right?
Right.
Like, I could see that fitting in. Like, that would make sense. But if all of a sudden we have like Force Ghost Yoda backflipping his way with a lightsaber around, fighting off, a Force Ghost of a Sith Darth Maul or some crap like that.
A Force Ghost battle? That'd be almost as bad as a rap battle between two white guys that run a podcast called The Fortress of Nerditude.
Right? Wiki yo yo. So anyway, that's interesting news. I don't know why he just didn't deny it, but also there's a lot of speculation as to who Snoke is. You remember the big hologram in Episode 7 that's talking to Kylo Ren? He's kind of like looks like he has like half his face kind of deformed. He's not actually on the Star Killer base. There's a lot of speculation that we already know who Snoke is, that he may have been revealed in some of the books that have been written to kind of help bridge the gap between Episode 7 and kind of, at the end of Return of the Jedi. All those books are new. So I haven't read them. I mean, I've read a lot of Star Wars books back in the day. Most of those now aren't considered canon anymore. They're not, official. Right. So I don't know who Snoke is. I've heard the theories that he's in the books, and, some people are like, oh, he's, some general that was fighting alongside of Darth Vader, and, da-da-da-da-da. Does that feel like a big kind of plot point to you, who Snoke is and how he fits in?
Not to me, but I haven't read the book, so I'm not as well entrenched in canon and whatnot. I mean, that might be. I don't know. I don't have the context. I don't think. Yeah,
I think more people though are curious as to like who Rey's parents are and why she was left on this planet as a young girl, just on her own.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I know a lot of people think it's Luke Skywalker is Rey's father. I don't buy that. Not for a heartbeat.
I actually thought it was, perfectly honest, I thought when we first watched The Force Awakens that it was, that it was Han Solo, because I'm like, maybe like she's Kylo Ren's sister, and then the whole sister brother thing again, except one of them's bad.
See, that's why I almost discount the whole idea that it's Han and Leia's kid or it's Luke's kid, because how would Han and Leia not know if it's Luke's kid or vice versa, right? Because it appears that Rey and Kylo Ren are around the same age.
Exactly. So
Luke was around when Kylo Ren was born. He helped train him from an early age up until the point when he was probably, mid-teens, that he decided to go all Darth Vader and, kill a bunch of kids.
It happens.
Yeah, especially if you're Darth Vader. So I don't buy that. Plus, here's the other thing. That's bad storytelling. Let's just call it for what it is. If you're going to take the exact same kind of like, well, this kid, we had twins and we separated them at birth and we abandoned one on this desert, remote island, or not island, planet. Come on.
I wouldn't put it past George Lucas to do.
Well, he's not writing these.
I know.
So, yeah. I hope it's not that. That to me sounds.
But I mean, like Luke's child against Han's child. That's kind of like an epic, pile of cheesy crap.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah. Anyway,
so I know from that investor call, or that investor meeting that they had. I don't know if you saw this online, but there was a bunch of tweeting afterwards from some of the investors as to what was seen in that snippet, in that first kind of footage. So they talked about, there was a shot of Rey training with her lightsaber as Luke looks on. So obviously we know there's going to be training happening.
I was waiting for you to say Luke looks on lovingly. I don't know why. Man.
No, but Luke actually, says his first words that he's said since, I guess, Return of the Jedi, and that was, "Who are you?"
Who are you? Who? I really want to know.
Who are you? Yes. There's also Poe in his X-Wing with scenes of fighters flying through a lineup of Resistance fleet. More shots of Rey activating her lightsaber, doing some moves. There's also glimpses of Chewie, Leia, and Finn on board the First Order ship in an officer's uniform. So those are just some of the snippets that the investors saw, and we will never see.
Let me ask you this.
Until
I thought about this question when I watched episode 7, and now it's kind of bugging me. We're kind of talking about, theories and spoilers, and not spoilers, but theories and rumors. Why do you think Leia never trained with the Force? I mean, we find out in Return of the Jedi that Luke, actually we find out in Empire that there's another Skywalker, and we know in Return of the Jedi that Leia's the other Skywalker, is his sister. We had all this time, right? Why did she never train?
Alcohol.
Alcohol.
I'm just kidding. It was a boys' club, man. It was an all-boys club. Samuel L. and others. I mean, you couldn't. It was like Augusta. Girls couldn't play.
Do you think it was maybe she was too old and too busy trying to run the rebellion, and so she just never made time for it? Do you think that's going to be the kind of angle, or do you think maybe she secretly trained and we just haven't seen it? I don't know. What do you think?
That's a good question. I think. I mean, do you think they're actually going to answer it? I mean, is it a question that needs answering? I mean, I don't know. Just for fodder, but
I feel like it kind of does, at least on some level. Like they need to address it. I mean, maybe not spend a lot of time on it, but she's married to like the only known Jedi, or not married to. Oh my goodness! Ooh, look at me.
Almost.
She's almost too close. She's the sister to the only known Jedi at that point, right at the end of the Battle of Endor, and she's the daughter of the most powerful Jedi ever. She ends up giving birth to a Jedi. She has the ability. Why have we never seen it? Why has nothing ever happened?
I think here's the greater question. Why wasn't, if we've learned anything from the three amigos. Why wasn't everybody made a Jedi, huh? So, old woman, so like the wind. Everybody's a Jedi. Jedis are falling from the sky.
Nice.
That's what should have happened. Give everybody a lightsaber, boy, woman, child, old man with a cane. You go in.
Nice.
Just wield it around. You'll be fine.
Lando.
Why was it Lando? Because he was black. That's why.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's right. It's a sad thing. It's sad truth, man. Women, folk, and it's sad. There's a lot of racism back in the 70s.
And right here, apparently.
No, I'm just calling a spade, man. You want to know why? 1978, brother.
Yeah. Anyway, I think they need to address it. That's just me. Like I said, I don't think it's big, but I think they need to address that. Also, what the crap was with Leia hugging Chewie, or not hugging Chewie and like going and hugging Rey at the end of that movie? I didn't get that. Like Han Solo was just killed. They come back to the base after destroying the Star Killer, and like instead of Leia going and hugging Chewie, who has been, in a life debt to Han for many, many years and been with Han through thick and thin, and she loves Chewie, and Chewie's like helped protect her kid when he was younger. She doesn't go and comfort Chewie. She goes and comforts Rey right away. There is something there, I think, in that scene that's, I don't know, something that's there that's going to need to be resolved. Why did it happen like that? I don't know. Maybe I'm looking into it, but I know lots of other people on the internet want to know that as well. So maybe I'm not the only crazy one.
I think, I think that Leia probably had him knocked off, and Han. I'm talking about Han.
She wanted the credits in his will.
She wanted the Falcon. She always has.
Listen, you scruffy looking nerf herder. I want all your credits and the Falcon when you go.
That's right. And she knew that Rey was next in line, so she needed to give her a Judas-style hug and be like, I want the Falcon, and I'll get it, Rey.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Steve, if you were in the mood and jonesing for some Star Wars, but you can't wait till Episode 8, you definitely can pick up the Rogue One Blu-ray on April 4th, but Marvel has announced that they're going to be coming out with another Star Wars comic that's going to basically explore like Anakin Skywalker's early days as Darth Vader. So it'll pick up like right after he gets put into the, robotic suit that kind of helps, sustain his life. Mm-hmm. And it's basically going to be about like him constructing his lightsaber and kind of taking his place as the Emperor's right-hand man, and kind of give us like what kind of goes on between then and probably, working towards like where he shows up in Rogue One and then, Episode 4. So if you're hankering, you want some Star Wars, you just can't wait, you're going to be able to get that. And I believe that's coming out, I want to say this summer. I believe that's what I saw. I'm not a huge comic book reader anymore. I used to read a lot more as kids, but I think I'll pick this up.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to get the backstory and I don't know. I always find origin-esque stories really interesting. You're talking about Wolverine earlier. I love the scenes. Some of my favorite scenes with Logan were when he was in the bar with the boxing match.
As cage fighter.
Yeah, as cage fighter. I'm like, that's awesome. It's just like, I don't know. It's cool to see where people came from. So I would be interested, but I will probably get the review from you.
Okay. Yeah.
So let me know how it is.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to pick it up. So, let me ask you this, because we need to kind of wrap this up. It is late. We are recording very late this evening. I want this to be my question for you and our question for the listeners, because I always find this very telling.
Okay.
If you could have a lightsaber, what color would your saber blade be?
Ooh. Black.
Ooh, black.
Yep.
I'm a blue. I'm a blue guy all the way. My lightsaber blade would be blue. I like green. I could never go with like the red or the yellow. It's like too Sith, but blue. That's my color. So that's going to be our question of the week. It's not a very deep question necessarily, but I think it's very telling of people's personalities because there's.
But what color and why? What color and why?
Sure.
See, I guess my only downside though with a black blade is if I didn't know it was on at night and just went to go reach for it, it was like, like and then I'm Luke again with no hand.
Right.
Dang it.
I was just trying to turn the light on.
Right, exactly. Should have got the clapper. Now I can't even use that.
I got to get a light commander in here.
Oh, love that junk.
So anyway, let us know, what is your lightsaber color and why? That
cool.
We're going to put that question out like we always do on Twitter at Fort of Nerd, and it'll also be on Facebook at facebook.com/FortofNerd, and you can always respond to us on email like Peter Christensen does, and that's fortofnerd@gmail.com.
And we love that junk.
Yeah, we just want to say we appreciate the input. We appreciate your interaction. We appreciate you taking your time to listen to us and to just spending some time with us. We love that. Thank you for subscribing. We recommend you do that so you automatically get us downloaded to your digital device every week when we release. And Steve, if we are looking for people and we want our friends and listeners to help us, how can they help us find other listeners?
We got to get rated. We need 5 stars on iTunes. So the Fortress of Nerditude isn't as hard to find as... I got nothing. I literally got nothing. It's 2 a.m, man. I ain't got nothing. The juice is gone. No, let's try it again. I'm so tired.
Yeah, too funny.
So rate us on iTunes so the Fortress of Nerditude isn't as hard to find as California Love. Give it to me. Yeah. Yo, where's my snare? Yeah.
Very well done, Steve. Very well done.
There you go. Well, folks, friends, family, listeners, strangers, milkmen, karate instructors, flight attendants, we love you, and we'll see you next week. So may the Force be with you always.